Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. All Things Middle-earth here with part 1 of a beginner guide for Rise to War. This guide's going to go over the very beginning game and what you should be doing, as well as what you can expect in the late game. So stay tuned, all that's coming up in just 1 second. So jumping in, we're going to start out right where the game starts you out. You're going to get your settlement loaded in here. There's a few early game tutorial things that show you how to take a few tiles, but then they drop you in here and kind of might be wondering, what is the long-term goal here? What should I be doing? What shouldn't I be doing? And I want to cover all that kind of stuff in this series. So let me know down below if you have tips and tricks that you think I should add or make sure new players are aware of, or if there's anything you learned from this video or any future ones. So first of all, you're going to go into your settlement by clicking enter and to your army page. This is where the game will already have shown you how to outfit troops onto your commanders, but you go here, you click outfit. You select the troops you want to use, drag them over, and then you can select different ratios of troops. For the very, very early game, who you use, your tier 1 troops, does not matter that much, although as you go into new seasons, you'll want to start optimizing this process even more so you can get more resources faster. And speaking of resources, this is going to be the first kind of step in our early game cycle, we're going to call it. So you're going to try and capture resource tiles. You're going to use your commanders, select a tile, and click March. Here you can see there is a thing here on this banner that says evenly matched, or for Haldir, for example, it says manageable. We're going to try and do it with Faramir to see what he can get done. But basically you want to keep it filling up your commanders, putting troops on them, and taking more powerful tiles as you level up your commanders. The higher level they are, the more command they have, and the more troops they can hold, and in turn, the higher power tiles you can take. And there you have it. Faramir just took the tile, so no big issue there. We didn't lose a whole lot of troops, which is great. So that is step 1, the taking resource tiles and building up your resource income. At the very top here, you can see these are the amount of resources I'm gaining per hour. It's important that we keep increasing that as much as possible. The next thing we're going to do with our resources, now that we've taken tiles or we're taking tiles, we need to start using those resources to build troops and upgrade our buildings. If you look at the very bottom left of your screen, there'll be the barracks section. It's what I'm sitting in front of right now. So if I zoom in, you can see it there. But we click the barracks section. This is where we can conscript or hire units. So right here, we click this conscript button, and I can drag these sliders to start building troops. Starting out, you're just going to have access to 1 or 2 troop types, not very much. And it's depending on the faction you start out as. So in this example, I'm starting as Arnor, which has the men as the starting barracks. But depending on where you're at, if you're in Erebor, you'll have dwarves and Mordor, orcs, so on and so forth. Now, in addition to building troops, you can also upgrade your buildings by going to the building tab, which is in the very bottom left of your screen. And here you see all the different buildings that you can upgrade. And if you go to this second tab that has the different helmets on them, so this one, the first one for us is the Gondor one, we can upgrade these buildings and unlock more troop types. And as we level up even more, we can unlock new buildings to unlock new troop types. So it's pretty self-explanatory. If you go to this, it'll say you need a Númenórean quarters, level 4. So I go here and I upgrade this. Now that's done, to go to level 4, because we're at 3 out of 10 here, it says I need to do main hall 4. So I click main hall 4, and I go to main hall 4, and it says I need barracks 6. So I go to barracks 6, and it says I need these things done. So it takes you on the path and shows you what you need to go along. So it shouldn't be too bad. But if you do kind of get confused on it and you want to figure out, okay, I want, more powerful troops, you can start somewhere and click through on the upgrade conditions, and it'll take you to that next thing until you find one that you can do, like this. And I need to take this to level 3, so I'm just going to keep upgrading that until it's in the right place, and then check back to see if I can get it done. Now, once you're building troops, upgrading buildings, you're going to have more troops available in your barracks, and we're going to just go back to the cycle again where you outfit your commanders. So we go here, we put commanders on, and then we go back into the field and we take more resource tiles. So we take resources, we build troops, we outfit commanders. That is the PvP early game cycle that's going to establish you to have a good foundation to compete later in the season once it goes to the mid and end game, and we focus more on player versus player stuff as opposed to player versus environment PvE. Now, a few notes I want to go over in terms of commanders and how you should be using them early game. Again, this is supposed to be a very basic beginner guide, so we're not going to go into a whole lot of depth. I don't want this to be 20 minutes long, but I do want to show you over on your commanders. If you click this commander button down here at the bottom of the screen, you have all your commanders here, and you can select skill points to use on them. So if I select Faramir, for example, and click the portrait button, that takes me to my skill point page where I can allocate these skill points I have. Now, you get skill points as they level up, and you get skill points as you increase their respect. If we go back to the last page, you can see his respect, which is shown right here, is 0. So if I want to increase that, I can click these 2 arrows right here. This will take me to his respect screen, and I can give him gifts to increase his respect. Now, if I click this and go all the way here, it'll increase by 1, but I can also keep going and increase it more if I want to. So for example, if I zoom in again down here, you can see if I give those gifts, it's going to increase his respect by 2. Now, just for demonstration's sake, we're going to give these gifts to him, which is going to get him to respect 3. So I'm going to gift those. It's going to say he's gone from 0 to 3. Now, that is permanent. This cannot be undone in the game. So it is important that you try and learn a little bit, or like check a little bit before you start giving respect to everyone. Is it a big deal like below 5? Probably not. But that's one of the biggest player regrets that people have in this game, is giving respect to commanders they don't want to use after their first or second season. They just don't end up being good. So big thing here is to try and not waste respect on bad commanders. The easiest way to go about that, to be honest, if you're on Discord, the Discord is linked down below. If you join in there, there's a question section in the Rise to War area. You could post there and say, hey, I just started out. Here are my commanders. Who are some safe commanders to invest in? And myself and others in the community would be happy to help out and chime in and say, hey, yeah, you know, Theoden's great. Whoever it is, we could talk through that. So that's probably the safest bet if you want. Otherwise, there's a little bit of trial and error there. So trying to avoid the error part for those who are new to the game, because those who've been playing since launch day like myself have lots of commanders who have way more respect than they should. And so now, like you can see here, I have 3 more skill points because I leveled him up 3 times. I've also unlocked his second tree. The next one will unlock at 5. So I can put points in different areas. And as you're going along, if you unlock a new skill tree or decide you want to run a different build, you can click this reset button. And for 20 gems, you can reset their skills and put them in a different area. Now, speaking of skills, you might not know exactly what you should run in your commanders. You're just starting out. Nobody did know. So what you can do is click the very bottom right button. This little book here is called the walkthrough, and it will show you what people are doing or what builds people are sharing in the game. Now, this is not the end all be all for information on this game, so be careful with it. But what you can do is you can look at and see if there's a very common thing being run. So if we look here at Faramir, for example, it's automatically filtering by exactly what I have here, respect 3 to 4. So I don't have access to the R5 tree. And you can see this person right here is running this guide tree, the R3 tree we just unlocked maxed out, and this Rangers of Vasilion tree maxed out. Again, we see the exact same thing here. We see the same thing here, just not quite as much points, but same thing here. So you can kind of safely see that there's not a whole lot of people investing in this tree right here, which is the bottom tree. This bottom last steward tree, a lot of people are maxing out guide and Rangers of Athelion at this point. Again, it's not like a foolproof method, and there are some weird builds in here, so bear in mind. But if you look through and see some consistency with some things, you can at least get yourself running builds that aren't bad. But again, you do see builds from now and again where you got 15 points here. Now, maybe they were using this to complete some tips, which is totally fine. So there could be a reason for that. But for the most part, you'll see the very common things are going to be the more correct versions of builds. In that same vein, in terms of gear, you should always have gear on your commanders. You're going to unlock gear as you go along, and you'll learn more about what they do. And we'll have some more videos going out in this beginner series to talk through specific gear builds for different commanders, or, you know, just an understanding of how the gear works. But starting out, you can just put gear on your commanders is better than nothing. And again, you can go to that walkthrough and see what people are running. If I click on this Faramir right here, I can see what this person has on his Faramir. I can go to this one here and click through. Again, this is a season 1, so I wouldn't expect a lot of people to have very good Faramirs. So what you can do is go to the very top and click all campaigns, and you can do all respect levels. So you'll start to see some very good Faramirs. For example, here's one that is respect 24, almost the max respect level. You can get an idea of what like the future goal stuff could be. Now, again, you know, you shouldn't just see one thing and go for it. Look at a few and see. You're going to see a lot of people using the Mirkwood Bow for Faramir, for example, with ranged might. That's probably the best in slot purple item, pretty much undisputed. So that would be a safe bet there. But you can go through and keep checking to see, okay, here's another Mirkwood Bow. You're not going to see a lot of other stuff other than that. Again, things that boost ranged units. You get the idea. So the walkthrough is a way that you can at least try and get yourself in the right direction, but look at a few of the reports there before you just go all in because you saw one person doing one exact skill build or troop build for that matter. There are troops there as well. You can see the troop comps people use as well as the gear. Now, before we wrap up, I want to just mention kind of what happens after this stage, because maybe you're wondering, okay, I'm going to build resources and build troops and do my command. Like, what's the point? Where is this going? Or do I just do that infinitely? You don't do that infinitely. Some people do, but you don't have to do that infinitely. What's going to happen in the game is you're going to move from the PvE stage to the PvP stage of the game. And basically what's going to happen is the resource tile taking part of your cycle where you take resources, that's going to stop. You're going to have maxed out the amount of tiles you can get again as you go. You can increase your tile cap by going through the chapter quests. So every time I complete these quests here, it's giving me some more tile land limit here. So we have land limit there. And then as we upgrade our ring abilities, you can get more territory limit this way as well. So you've upgraded your ring, you've done your quests, you have a lot of tile space, and you have a lot of tiles. What's going to happen is we're going to drop that and just maintain our current tile power. And we're going to, instead of taking tiles, we're going to turn to player versus player combat in the game. So I'll kind of illustrate the screen with some arrows. But basically, everyone's going to be in their different areas doing this kind of PvE cycle or some form of it. And you're either going to push them back or you're going to get pushed back. And again, in very quick summary, you're going to go to take other enemies' lands, other capitals, and the big end goal which at least gets you the most rewards, is taking the 1 ring at Dol Guldur. But again, that's getting kind of far ahead. So I just wanted to point ahead and say there is something beyond the PvE phase of this game, but it is very important because if you don't do this correctly, you don't have a lot of resources coming in or the right troops unlocked, or you've not built your commanders right, the minute you do see other players who are doing the right things, you're going to get beat very badly. So it's important to learn and get the right gear on and the right troops and all that kind of stuff, which again, I've got more videos coming out very soon in this series. So let me know down below if you're excited to see more about the kind of early game. We cover a lot of late game content. We've done tier lists and streams that go 3 hours. And if you're a brand new player, that might be a lot. So I'm trying to dial it back a little bit and look at some early game new player kind of first season experiences so everyone can have a better experience. Because the last thing you want to do is kind of farm around, not know what you're doing, and then another faction invades and attacks you. You get uprooted, all your tiles get taken, and you're like, cool, that wasn't very fun, because it's not very fun. So want to get everyone prepared as much as possible so they have a good experience. But that'll do it for me in this one. And let me know down below if you're an experienced player, if you have any tips or tricks you think I should share in future videos for new players coming to the game. But thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you all in a future video.